Hello everyone, welcome to today's stream. If you're here live, please put a quick hello in the chat. Tell me where you're watching from. Today's session is about how to create a B2B website that turns maritime buyers into sales opportunities. We know that based on different research that about 70 to 80% of research is done by the buyer before they're contacting sales. And each buyer will often spend quite little time with the salesperson from each company they are considering. So the website is a crucial part of the buying process and doing the research before contacting sales. Maritime tech deals are high value, complex, and very often global. So you're targeting the whole world, or at least countries outside of your own. And you need a website that educates, also filters out bad fit leads, and also converts those leads into sales pipeline and meetings and customers. So what is the foundation of a good maritime tech website? Of course, branding, logo, and having it look nice is important, but it's not just a brochure. You should think of your website as a sales rep, and there are a few things that I, in my opinion, think separates a high-performing maritime tech website compared to an ineffective one. One big thing is that you need one main call to action that is not contact us. So I did research, and a lot of maritime tech companies, they have contact us button as the primary means of having someone to get in touch with them. And the contact button is something you should have, but it should not be the main way that people contact you. You need to be more specific when it comes to the action you want buyers to take. It could be book a demo, request pricing, see a product tour. And this is actually something that has a lot of impact on how many inbound leads you get. So getting more specific on the main action you want buyers to take is really, really important. As a additional point, in addition to just having the primary call to action, is to give buyers several options on how to contact you. So it's not only submitting a form. You can have a shared team inbox, let's say sales@yourcompany.com or hello@yourcompany.com. You can have short embedded forms on product and demo pages to request a demo or pricing. So the main call to action on an important page on your website. So you have a product page, people scroll down, and then on the bottom, there's a form where people can submit and contact you. Live chat and chatbots. This is great for instant replies and lead capture, especially now with HubSpot launching a lot of AI features. You can train your AI, your chatbots, to answer frequently asked questions. So that's really valuable for, especially when people are not at work, maybe it's in the evening. A chatbot could be a really good way to enable buyers to get information they need quickly. And then also embedded meetings or calendars for direct scheduling. Again, you can use this on high intent pages, so a product page, pricing page, service page, and so on. So if you have a specific salesperson that's responsible for one product line, for example, you should definitely use a meeting calendar so people can book directly on his or her calendar. Another crucial factor is the messaging and tailoring it to your market. So when it comes to positioning, I think companies should become or do make their positioning more narrow, get more specific than they're comfortable with, because I think the biggest issue is that most maritime tech companies have a very generic messaging, and they're too focused on themselves, not really focused on their customers. It's not specific enough. They're trying to cater to too many different segments at once. If you're serving multiple segments, market segments, it makes sense to segment your site. So tailoring the messaging a little bit to each market segment, and maybe even have use case or industry specific call to actions. But I think if you try to combine what you do, so the service or the product, with who you do it for, which is the target audience, and then the value you provide, so the measurable outcomes. It could be, for example, 50% reduction in emissions could be a valuable outcome your buyers are looking for. If you combine that into one or two sentences, that could be a good value proposition to put on your website and also in your email signatures and other places. But it's very important that you're focused on what your customer wants, and not focus on what you as a company want to promote and brag about yourself, right? You want to have the customer read your value proposition, come to your website, and within 3, 4, 5 seconds they understand what you're providing and if it's relevant to them. If not, a lot of people will exit your website very quickly. Then it comes to the structure and the navigation of the website. I think one important thing about the structure and the navigation is that I don't think maritime tech companies should be too creative when it comes to nav structure. In my experience, a lot of companies who are redesigning the website, they want to reinvent the wheel. They want to make it look completely different, so they change a structure that buyers are used to. So I would just stick to the the normal structure of a website, which is or the navigation, which is you have the logo on the left, you have the main menu items on the right or maybe in the middle. So no hamburger menu, so you have to click up in the right to get the menu items. I would just have it in the middle or right aligned, and then having a primary call to action button on the right. This is a structure that a lot of companies are used to, or buyers are used to. And if you follow that structure, people don't have to relearn your website and try to find where things are. I think a lot of buyers find it quite annoying. So don't get too creative when it comes to the structure. When it comes to the structure of the rest of the website, I think a good rule to follow is to just have one homepage with your main value proposition, and then have the navigation be a stick navigation. So the navigation follows you when you're scrolling, and in that way, your buyers can also always access the main call to action, so request a demo or see product in action, making it easy for buyers to contact you. And then it's important for you to list all the products or solutions you are offering. This is important because buyers are searching for very specific things, and you should not just give a very generic overview, a very simple overview of what you sell. You need to have specific standalone product or solution or service pages for everything you offer, in my opinion, because people will search for that one very specific thing that you offer, but if you don't show it on your website, they will not find you, and you will never get an opportunity to be found for that specific thing that you actually sell. So I would try to make a quite comprehensive sitemap when it comes to publishing all the different services or products that I offer. And also for each product, if you have the resources, also make feature pages. So for each product, make a feature page kind of below the product page. So in the hierarchy, the product page is on top, and then you have a feature page below. And when you're visiting a specific product page, you can click into the feature page. And for example, let's say your product is called Ocean Fleet. Then the URL would be products/Ocean Fleet. But then below this page, you have a feature page, which would be products/Ocean Fleet/emissions monitoring, for example. And in that way, you are getting found for every single keyword or phrase or service or product your buyers are looking for, giving you a chance to convert that buyer into a sales conversation. Then industry pages, I think, is also as critical because people will buy for different reasons, different verticals or market segments buy for different reasons. So you can tailor your messaging and pain points to that specific industry. So oil and gas might care about other things than offshore and wind, for example. So again, buyers are searching for very specific things, so be specific in your sitemap. That also applies to buyer roles or persona pages or role pages. So let's say you're targeting CTOs, they might care about let's say integration or uptime or data ownership. Fleet managers can care about compliance, and then I'm just making stuff up here, but port authorities can care about automation, for example. So there's specific things each buyer role care about that you could kind of call out in your messaging on a role buyer role page as well. Another thing I think maritime tech companies should do is to create a resource hub, because you have a blog, maybe you have webinars, you have downloadable white papers, for example, but it's not always the format people are looking for. They're looking for the specific topic. So you will still have a standalone blog or a webinar page or event page or so on, but I think it's a really good user experience to have one resource hub where buyers can search and find exactly the content and the topics they care about. So kind of like a database for all your content. The next important part of a maritime tech website is CRM integration. And this is another issue I found out when doing some research a few months ago, that most maritime tech companies, they don't have a proper integration between their website and their CRM. There's many CRMs out there, Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive, and so on. And most of them should have some kind of integration with, or it's possible to set up some kind of integration between the website and the CRM. And the most basic integration between the website and the CRM would be to use website forms. So if somebody is clicking on your primary call to action and they want a demo or they want pricing and so on, ideally you should then send that form should be a form from your CRM, and that information should be sent directly to a salesperson so they can follow up quickly. Not all or most maritime companies are not doing this. They maybe don't have any CRM integrated with their website. Why it's so important is because, first off, you need to track every visitor. So we use HubSpot, for example. And when a buyer comes to a website, even though they haven't converted, they will be tracked, and you can see which channels are working, which channels you're getting traffic from, and which pages are getting views, how many sessions you're getting, and also which companies are doing research on your website. And when a buyer from a specific company converts, then you can get access to all the information after. But it's really important to use your CRM because it will give you a better understanding of is this marketing activity I'm doing working? Is LinkedIn ads, Google ads, SEO, am I getting contacts to my website that is converting on my website and then converting into a sales deal? Then it's capturing leads directly. So I was just mentioning this previously, but you need to have all the website forms on your website synced to CRM. Not only request a demo or get pricing, but also higher funnel forms like register for a webinar, for example, or a newsletter form. you need to get it into the right list early, notify sales if it's an interesting prospect, or also if there's integration with your webinar software, for example. You need to always feed this information to your CRM. Also, this helps you to qualify leads faster. So you will get a lot of submissions on your website. Some will be good fit, some will be a bad fit. But if you have the information, you can at least score them based on which company they're from, their job title, and other criteria like this, or if it's a bad fit. And also you can score on the behavior. So if they do specific actions like visiting your pricing page, you can then use lead scoring to score that lead and say, hey, this lead is very interested in, or very highly engaged in researching content on the website. Lastly, you can trigger sales routing. So if you get a high intent and high hit lead and they book a demo, it's very important that you follow up with them quickly. Within an hour is ideal. Within 24 hours, then you're getting a bit, that's a bit slow. If it's more than a day, that's really, really bad. You need to follow up with leads as quickly as possible, because for every hour, every day you wait, you will increase the chances of that lead actually choosing another vendor or just forgetting about you in the first place. When it comes to SEO and technical performance, this is basic, but a lot of companies don't have this in place. But if you have all these pages that I talked about previously in place, but you haven't optimized them for search or for LLMs, then you will have an issue with getting found. You need to use keywords your buyers search for. So let's say emissions monitoring, for example. It needs to be in the page title and the meta description in Google. So when you Google something, you will see a blue link, and that's usually the page title. And you need to specify what each page on your website is about. This is really, really crucial, because a lot of companies, they will just call their the service page services or industries, for example, when you should get more specific. So it should be emissions monitoring for shipping companies, for example. Then when it comes to lead generation, to make your website generate leads, you need to capture interest at different stages of the buyer's journey. So you have a primary call to action, request a demo or get pricing, but you also need multiple content offers before this step, because most people on your website won't be converting on the bottom of funnel sales conversation offer yet. So for more of the top of funnel awareness, you need to use educational content. It can be blogs, it can be maybe a live stream like this, for example, that's ungated, but also free ungated content on social media, so ads or organic posts. These are great at creating awareness and driving traffic to the website. But when people are on the website, you need to do some kind of lead capture. That could be event invites, so a conference or a webinar or a physical event that you're arranging. It could be free tools, whether that's like a checklist you download. It can be a ROI calculator or like an assessment or audit. So it's like a tool that you have programmed and made available to the public. It can be downloadable resources like it can be guides, for example. I think these are less effective than before, but I think they still have their place in some cases. It could be a newsletter or like an email course, and also interactive product tours, so people sign up to get a interactive demo of the product. And then you have the bottom of funnel, which is more of the decision stage. where you request a demo. It can be a chatbot where people can book a meeting. It can be just an embedded meeting booking calendar on with the sales engineer, for example, on the product page, and so on. So you need different offers throughout the buyer's journey so that you can kind of capture information early and then nurture leads towards a sales conversation. When it comes to trust builders and kind of building credibility, so a few things that build credibility fast on your website is having case studies. I think case studies is the main way to build trust fast. So logos are good, but they are not very specific. They can be a bit anonymous because maybe you did a very small project that did not have much impact, but if you write a proper case study that goes into deep detail about how you helped a specific company, that's a much better trust builder than just having the logo on the website. Have real testimonials, so name, title, and company on the website, and use a lot of statistics and data. So let's say you're serving 15,000 vessels on a global scale, or you have specific certifications like ISO and GDPR. If there's awards or media mentions or partnerships or memberships, you're member of a certain organization, all of these things, these badges will build a lot of trust as well. So when it comes to making a good maritime tech website, I think it's important to remember that it's not one thing. Of course, the website needs to look professional and well designed. I think that's table stakes, but it is more about making it easier for the right buyers to find you, to make it easier for them to move forward. You don't push them into a sales conversation right away, and that you have a clear positioning statement and unique value proposition for all the different segments you're serving, that you have a lot of helpful content tailored to where in the buying journey they are, and that you have multiple ways of converting interest into action and converting buyers into leads. So think of your website as kind of like a 24/7 digital sales rep. It's about guiding buyers, qualifying them, and supporting your sales team before anyone books a call. Because an educated buyer is much easier to sell to. They know much more. You don't need to educate them as much in the meetings themselves. So it's a great way for you to make your salespeople's lives easier. If you're wondering if your site is the way it should be or if there's improvements, please send me a message. I'll be happy to do a quick audit so we can go on a quick 15-minute call and talk through the website. Thanks for listening. I hope I'll see you next week.